Hello guys, welcome to another video on my channel. In this one I'm going to show you how to master the Manufacturer series. So this will be round 1, which is at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in the Group 3 car. Of course I'm in GT1, so since I'm in GT1 we're going to be doing 22 laps around here. It's going to be times 3 tyre wear in the actual qualifying session, and there'll be times 1 fuel and times 3 tyre wear in the actual race. We have to use both the racing mediums and the racing soft tyres. We can change the brake balance if you would want to. Of course, the RNS are affected. There's light mechanical damage. It does say minimum no pit stops, but since you have to use both racing mediums and softs, you do have to make a pit stop. Normal track limits, it's shortcut penalties week, so you get like half-second penalties usually for when you're cutting the corner, and of course penalty for collision, and there is a pit lane line cutting penalty on. So you don't want to get a 3-second penalty by crossing the entry pit line or the exit line out of the pits. As you can see, since it's a Manufacturer series, the leaderboard is completely stacked. I managed to do a 16.870 in the BRZ. However, I do think a high 0.6 is possible in this car. So without further ado, I'm going to show you my fastest lap followed by the detailed lap afterwards. I would also appreciate a like and a subscribe if you find these videos helpful. Cheers guys! Hi guys, hopefully you enjoyed the lap showing. Now I'm going to show you how I did it. Unfortunately, the best lap I did was a 1:16.870. However, I forgot to save the replay of it, so I'm going to show you the next best lap I did, which was a 1:16.897. Like I said, I do think the BRZ could do a very high 0.6 personally in my hands. Without further ado, I'd say the key word for this is momentum. At least in the BRZ, you got to remember. For braking references on that is with a BRZ. In your cars, if you're not in a BRZ, you'll probably have to brake quite a bit earlier, especially in the high-speed corners. But yeah, other than that, let's get into it. First corner, I am braking. On this lap, I go on this outside here. However, what you'll see in my race is I'm not using this outer line because I feel like I do lose a bit of grip when I'm going across this white line. So I keep my left wheels basically on this right line on the actual 870 lap I did. But I'm braking halfway between where the grass is starting and where the grass is ending. So I am braking about any second. Remember, this is in the BRZ, so in other cars you'll probably have to brake a bit earlier. I've just started to lift off now, basically where this ambulance is, on the left side. So right here, when you see the ambulance, start to brake and turn to the right. This corner I'm aiming to be about 124 mile an hour on the apex in the BRZ. Most cars will probably be around 120. This corner, there's a little left kink here. There's this little Marshall post bit here, or Marshall tent or whatever you call it. I like to do a small lift usually, just so that I'm fully to the left, preparing for the corner after it. So right here, I just lifted and in this car, I'm braking basically as I get to this yellow part of this curb here in the BRZ. So I'm going to be downshifting to third, braking in a straight line, staying as far to the left as possible just to open up this next part of this corner. And I am roughly aiming to be about 92 mile an hour in the BRZ here. I will say as well, I'll go to race photos here, you want your right tyres to be basically on this side of this curb here. So basically on this blue and yellow part of this curb, you want to use as much of that part of the curb as possible while keeping your left wheels just on this yellow line if possible. That way the car doesn't bounce and you can maximise the angle for the corner and carry as much speed as possible. Hook this curb here. In the BRZ, this is easy flat. This corner, it's quite hard to find a reference to be honest, but basically what I've found is as soon as the curb starts to straighten up, that is when I broke. And again, you want to be using as much of this outside curb as possible just to open up this next part of this corner. In the BRZ, I was aiming to be about 97-ish, 96, 97 mile an hour. There we go, yeah. 96, 97 mile an hour for this corner here. Try not to touch the inside grass as well, because if you do touch inside grass, you either unsteer a bit wide, or you'll just cost yourself about a 10th on the exit by, not being able to exit as fast as you would be usually. I will say with the track limits, as long as you've got your left tyres on this part of this curb, you should be good. In fact, you can go a little bit outside it, as long as your left wheels touches the red and yellow part, not red, the blue and yellow part of this curb before you basically want your left wheels to be touching this curb before this yellow line ends, basically. This corner, in my opinion, very hard to find a braking reference for, but I broke about here. In fact, on this lap, I broke early. On most laps, I was braking about here. So I was probably braking a good column early here, which is why I do think there's a bit of lap time in the lap I'm showing you now. But for this corner, I'll be roughly braking about where this 200 marker is, maybe slightly before it, maybe half a column before it. And since it's cambered, you want to be touching the inside curb. You want your right wheels to touch the inside curb just to help drag you around the corner. But I said I was aiming to be 93 to 94 mile an hour on this apex here. This corner, there's this little line that goes across this track here. There's two of them, in fact. I tried to brake in between these two here, but it's better to brake earlier than later in this corner. So I brake about here. Any second, there you go. So this is the rough braking reference I was using for this corner. Between this line here, it's not really a line. It's more like I don't know, maybe a bit of oil or something. But either way, I'm braking between those 2 points. Try not to touch the inside curb much either, because car can bottom out a bit and oversteer when you get off a curb. So try to just touch the inside curb. In the BRZ, I was aiming to be about 59 to 60 mile an hour in this corner. So yeah, like I said, you want to just touch this curb. If your right wheels go over this curb, when I say over, I mean touch the grass, the car will destabilize. So try not touch the inside grass. Use all the outside exit curb. Remember, this is BRZ references. Most corners you want to brake probably slightly earlier. And when I say slightly, I mean maybe like half a car length area. Maybe exit last corner. Last corner, I feel like you can brake pretty similar to BRZ because it is revving out in fifths. It's taking a bit of speed into this corner. Anyway, last corner, I tended to brake about right here. I tended to brake as I reach this red part of this barrier here. You could probably brake halfway between the red part here, if you understand what I'm trying to say. In the BRZ, at least, you want to cut the first part, so you want your right wheels just to touch the curb and your left wheels to be on the grass, basically. And then as you exit the first bit, you want to be halfway between the left and the right hand side of the track, just to give you enough of an angle to attack the second part of the chicane, while taking good speed and commitment in the first part of the chicane. So basically you're minimizing time lost in both sections of the chicane here. So this part, I just missed it a bit. Had a bit of oversteer. I'll go downshift a second. But like I said, you want your right wheels to be on this part of this curve and your left wheels to be more on this grass here. But in the BS, you want to roughly take this part about 68, 69, 70 mile an hour. This first apex here. By the time you get to here, you want to be about 80 mile an hour from memory. Be careful of oversteering, the BL said. And take the narrow line to finish the lap. Could save yourself a tenth here. And that is an 8.97. A decent lap, but I do think there's a couple attempts in it personally. I am going to share this replay so you can use it for data logger and to follow the goes, especially if you are also in the BR set. So without further ado, I'm going to share this replay with a tag Calster. So just type in Calster on the replay section in the showcase section, and it will say a 1:16.897 as my best lap. But without further ado, I'm going to show you a race stint with some commentary in the background. Cheers, guys. Right, so here is a race run that I did. So if you remember correctly, there is 22 laps. I'm going to be doing 22 laps. And do have to use both the racing mediums and the racing soft tyres. So first thing, I'm going to be on the racing medium tyres, just so that I can get up to speed and see what I can do on the soft tyres with fuel on board. Don't have to worry about fuel, of course, because it's only 22 laps on times 1 fuel. So in the BR set, I think he had about 48 laps of fuel. So easily make it on fuel in any car. Since BR7 is one of the fastest cars as well, on top of that. I will say that I am using brake balance +5. Reason for that is just because I want that little extra rotation going into each corner, just so that I can carry as much speed out of the corner as possible. So what I'm going to be talking about is, first of all, what I am planning to do in this season, second of all, why I picked Subaru, and third of all, what I'm actually doing in the race. So, first of all, what am I planning to do with this year's Manufactuer series? Well, my ultimate goal, although very unlikely, but I'll give it my best shot, is I want to try and qualify this year. The reason I want to try qualify is just because I just want to prove people that you can qualify on a controller. Yes, it may not be quite as good as a real, but there's no reason you can't qualify on a controller. When you can be just as competitive as a real. Maybe like a couple seconds a race slower than a real, but other than that, you can definitely qualify on the controller if you hook up a good season. So my aim is to do every single race. I'll be making every guide for every round. When it comes to North Drive, I'm probably just going to do a lap guide for it, because the lap guide itself will probably take an hour, so I don't want to make that video too long when we get to it, which is round 4 I believe. But without further ado, that is the first thing I've quickly talked about, is I want to do as well as possible. I'm going to make a guide for each round. I'm going to be practicing quite a lot, both race pace and qualifying, just to try give myself the best opportunities. So, second point, why did I pick Subaru? So, if some of you have been watching my streams recently, you may have heard me mention that I am picking either Jag, Genesis, very unlikely Citroen or Subaru. So, after that, I decided I was probably going to pick the Genesis, because that car should be decent on the calendar, and I do think that car is capable of getting top 12 in the World Manufacturers rankings, which is what you need to be able to have a chance of qualifying in the first place. So basically how you qualify is, you need your manufacturer to get top 12, and that is done by the highest points per manufacturer getting a certain amount of points. So if you got the best points possible for the round, you'll get the 40 for your manufacturer, then it's 36, 33, 30 and so on. So basically you need to do as well as possible to give your manufacturer the best chance of qualifying possible. Now of course there is 3 regions, so it's not only you that has to put the results in with the car, it's also Asia/Australia, or Oceania I should say, and also the Americas. So I was thinking of picking Genesis because I thought that car would be decent on the calendar. I wouldn't say it was going to be amazing on the calendar, but I'd say it could definitely be okay at Road Atlanta, it'd be okay at Spa. Probably not great at Spa actually, but you know, a top driver could get a result at Spa selling that car, because I don't think it'd be that bad. It'd be good at Deep Forest, it'd be okay at Watkins Glen. The car wouldn't really be bad anyway, so I was thinking of picking Genesis. However, I kept up to date with the leaderboard. Shout out to Digital's website by the way, but you can actually check the leaderboard in a manufacturer series without signing a manufacturer, just by going on this website, so big shout out to him. Thank you for that, really helpful honestly. But what I saw was, so the season came out on Friday, or the calendar came out on Friday I should say. I looked on the leaderboard on Sunday, I didn't see a single Genesis in the top 100, and that made me very worried, because that automatically told me that 1, the car's not as good as I thought it would be here, and 2, and probably more importantly, there wasn't quick drivers from other regions picking Genesis. So for that reason I decided not to go Genesis, because I just don't think it will get top 12. It might get top 12, but I can't risk it. So that's the reason I ruled out Genesis. I'll quickly talk about Jag, because it's my favourite car. So I would have picked Jag if I had the teammates. Unfortunately I don't have the teammates, so there's not really any fast drivers that picked Jag. There's one Asia driver that's half decent that picked Jag, but it'd be difficult to get the high points for that round, for this calendar, sorry. So I kind of automatically ruled out Jag. And then that leads to actually another car that I didn't mention in the first place. So if you may have saw in some chats or Discord or whatever, I may have said that I was going to pick Lexus. I know I'd say at the point I was 90% sure I was picking Lexus. The reason I was going to pick Lexus is because I think the calendar is quite decent for it. It's not a heavy tyre wear season. There's a bit of tyre wear involved of course, like first race for example is a bit involved, but you could still get very good results in Lexus either way, just because you'd be able to qualify towards a front, just tyre safety your own race and hopefully, you know, bring it home without getting penalties etc. So I was thinking Lexus. However, my problem with Lexus is I've got 2 problems with Lexus actually. First of all, since I'll be probably split 4 area, even though it's not heavy tyre wear, if I'm tyre saving, someone is just going to sit my slipstream and, you know, tyre safe as well, they'll be able to undercut me and it'll be very hard for me to overtake back. So I don't think I'd ever be able to win a race in Lexus. Maybe one track I might have been able to, maybe Deep Forest. No, even Deep Forest would be super unlikely because it's not great there. Maybe Watkins Glen, I'd be able to get a result there, but other than that, I just don't think I'd be able to win in the Lexus. And that way, I don't think I would get enough points to lead the Lexus. Which brings on to point 2. In case you didn't know, Antonio is picked Lexus and he's, in my opinion, a top 10 driver in the game at the moment. So even if a Lexus was to struggle in a round or 2, I just don't see Antonio not being able to pick up a result in the last slots, even when the car's struggling. Like he would still get at least probably 420 or 410, at very minimum, while his best rounds would probably be 450 plus, which means I'd have to average probably about 430 points, and that would basically mean I'd have to win every single race, and I just don't see that happening. Maybe seconds in some scenarios, but quite unrealistic to be Antonio this season. So that is why I ruled out Lexus. I'll very quickly mentioned Citroen, and I'll tell you why I'm not going Citroen. So the reason I didn't go Citroen is because, in my opinion, it's mostly an FR based season, just because, you know, there's quite a lot of tracks with high speed corners and that, which tends to suit FR cars more than MR, and you need a bit of power as well. So like for me, the only like MR round for me is Gardens, and even then the MR also will struggle a bit in the first sector chicane if you don't, you know, do the right lines, which is very easy to do because it's super difficult to be consistent in that section of a track. I just don't think the Citroen will be the best on quite a lot of tracks in general. Like Atlanta, yes, it will have a really good tyre, but I just don't think it'll have a good enough handling in the first sector to keep up with some other cars. So you'll be qualified mid-pack, probably at best in the Citroen. And plus another issue is, since it's an MR and there's Nordschleife on the calendar, a bit of Gardens as well, I'll add in as well. As a controller player, I would struggle with bumps, because sometimes on controller, when you hit bumps, the game stops you steering for some reason. Can't really explain why. I don't really understand why either. But sometimes it just stops steering. So, you know, I just can't take the risk of picking an MR and just, you know, having a horrible time on Nords. Basically, it would rule out one of the races for me already, and that would basically mean I'd have to maximise 5 races in 5 rounds, which is quite unrealistic for me, I think. So that's why I ruled out Citroen. So now that leads to why I picked Subaru. So the reason I picked Subaru is, like I said, Genesis, I just don't think it'll get top 12. Maybe it will, but I just can't take the chance. Jag definitely won't get top 12. One and done after drivers and 2, I don't think the car's the best from the calendar, since you need quite a lot of downforce, and the Jag does not have downforce, and it has really bad tyre wear. Even though it has very good power, and it'll do very well on tracks like Deep Forest, and maybe even Gardens as well. And then Citroen, I think he'll definitely get top 12. I just don't think the car's the best for me, and yeah, I just struggle with Nordschleife massively, so it's just not worth me picking that car. And the Lexus, while I'll be, I think, very competitive in a car, I just don't think I'll beat Antonio over this season, realistically, unless he was to have massive issues, which I hope he doesn't, because he deserved to qualify last year until he had real problems, and I kind of don't want to take it from him in case he has the same issues against us. So that leaves me with Subaru. The reason I picked Subaru is because I do think the Manufacturer will get top 12, even though Killian and Miyasono ain't driving it anymore. Lam's still a decent driver, and he picked up some points in NA last year, or Americas I should say. And there's another Japanese driver that's picked it this year who's also decent. Not as good as Miyasono, of course, but you know, he will be able to get some results in that region, I would imagine. So that basically gave me the best chance to qualify, I think, because I don't. Yes, I think Mangano picked Subaru, for example, but I think he has top split DR, and I just think he'll struggle getting 5 very good scores. There is another few EMEA drivers that picked Subaru as well. I think Peter from Hungary, for example, picked Subaru. There's another one I forgot as well. I think it's another Italian even. And there's a Spaniard as well that picked it. But as said, I'm quite comfortable with it. It's not my best car, especially out of the slow speed corners. But yeah, I think it gives I think it gives me the best opportunity to try and qualify. If I can pick up 5 consistent scores, I think I've got an opportunity. So that's the reason I decided on Subaru. So I wish everyone luck. First of all, don't forget this is for fun at the end of the day. So if you're not going to enjoy it and find it, stressful or whatever, I wouldn't bother doing this personally. I'd only do this for fun, like I am. Even if I don't qualify, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. So it's a win-win for me, honestly. I'd love to qualify, but if I don't, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? So now that leads me to the stint. So as you can see, we're on lap 11 now, and I actually decided to pick this lap. However, what I will say is, and what you'll notice at the end of the race is, I do struggle a bit at the end of the race. So I would personally recommend to do 12 laps on mediums and 10 laps on softs. What you may have also noticed is, if you saw some TT footage or whatever, or you've done TT yourself, the condition, the weather, or the time of day, sorry I should say, is sunset. However, as you can see on my screen, I put it on night. The reason I've done that is because for temperature's sake. So there is a car on the leaderboard that has a replay that shows you what the on-track temperature is, or not on-track but like air temperature I should say. That has a replay shown. So what I did was I saw the replay and I saw what temperature it was in the actual like TT lobby, which was I believe 19.3 degrees Celsius, and the best way I got to get as close to 19.3 as possible was to put it on night. I believe what I'm racing now is in 20.5 degrees Celsius, so it's still a good degree over the TT. However, I'd rather practice a bit warmer conditions than in the actual session, just because it better prepares me for the race in my opinion. Since if I was to practice 1 degree cooler, that could be the difference between overheating the tyre and not, and it could give you a false indication on what the right strat is for this race. So even though I'm saying this, that I should have done 12:10, since I will struggle a bit on tyres at the end, maybe in the actual thing I can maybe get away with 11:11, but I think for this I will probably do 12:10 or 10:12 depending if I get pole and start on softs. But anyway, let me talk about the strat very quickly. So I've just talked about how many laps I'm doing on each tyre. So if you start the race in, I would say, the top 3 positions potentially, I'd potentially start on softs and try to make a gap behind. That way you're not battling with people as much, and you're doing your own race, you're not having to worry about other people, etc. If you would start further down the field, I'll just start mediums. Maybe try and not stay in, it depends. I'll try to get sick for S2, but honestly, what I'll try and do is I'll try maybe create a little bit of a gap in front, just so that you're not suffering with too much dirty air, so you can do your own thing and tyre saving, and not overheat your tyres trying to follow people behind, or in front I should say. But that's just my opinion. Plus you're probably more consistent that way as well. You're less likely going to understeer off or take too much speed into the corner, etc. So I'm going to quickly talk about the corners I'm tyre saving. Since the tyre that's getting the most hurt on this track is the front left, since you are going clockwise around this track, so you're going to be turning a lot more right than left to get around the track. So basically every right-hander you'll be seeing me is when I'm going to put a bit less steering input in. So for turn 1, I was putting about 30% steering input in, just so that I didn't really lose speed while I tyre saved at the same time. I count the little left kink as turn 2, so I'm going to say left turn 3 with the big curb on the inside, I do about 50% steering. Turn 5, I try to not do max steering. In the BR7 that's very easy. In other cars you may have to do very small lifts at the end of stints, just to make sure you don't understeer too far off the track or overheat your tyres. that leads to turn 6, which is left-hander, and that is, you don't need to worry about tyres there. Turn 7, again I'm doing about 50% steering, so similar to turn 3. Just say that I don't overheat the front left, and since it's cambered, there's enough grip to stay on track easily anyway, even with less steering input. Turn 8, I'm not really tyre saving, just try not to brake and turn at the same time, because that's when you're overloading the front left tyre, and you don't want to put too much energy into that tyre, because the more energy you put in, the more heat you're going to put in, the more you're going to put in, the more it's prone to overheating. And since it's overheating, you'll suffer 1 from more understeer, and 2, even worse, a lot more tyre wear. Which leads to the last chicane. Left part, do what you usually do. Again, try not brake and turn at the same time. If you do happen to carry on braking, just trail brake. Last corner, again, try to minimise the steering, especially on the exit. That way, again, you're not putting too much load into your front left tyre. And the last corner, like the actual last corner, that's flat. Especially on the end of the stint, you may struggle to do it flat, so just be careful. Try not to put too much load into that tyre since it's a fast corner. Just try and minimise the steering as much as possible. So that's where I'm basically tyre saving for this race. I don't really tyre save on a medium stint, because for me on the mediums I still had very good life even after pushing. So I don't really tyre save in that stint. On the softs, however, I am tyre saving quite a bit, because you don't want to overheat the softs. Since if you're overheating the softs, since it's already got a lot of tyre wear in general, you don't want to, make the tyre wear a lot worse, if you understand what I'm trying to say. You want to try and maximise the soft usage for the longest time while having good performance in them still. Which is why I would personally recommend a 12 to 10 strap. So 12 mediums, 10 softs. Some cars I'd maybe even recommend 13 mediums, 9 softs. Cars like the Lexus, probably Nissan GTR, I'd probably recommend 13 mediums, 9 softs. Maybe cars like Citroen, you can maybe get away with 11 lap softs, just because that car's got very good tyre wear. So does the BR7, to be fair though. And I would recommend 12-10 even in the BR7. So I'm going to very quickly talk about the upcoming calendar. So there is 6 rounds on this calendar, so I'm going to try and make a guide for each round. So every race that starts on Wednesday, I'm going to try and make a guide for Sunday or Monday. I'll try to do it for Sunday if I can. That way it gives you a few days to watch my video, try get some tips from it, and try to apply in your own lobbies before having to race. For the races that start on Saturday, I plan to make the guide for Friday. The reason for that is because on Thursday I'll still be doing the lap time challenges, and I really enjoy doing them, so I want to carry on doing that, helping people get gold continuing credits. So that way I'll just do the lap time challenge on Thursday and for my new guide for the Saturday round on Friday morning, preferably, if I can. So that, now I'm going to very quickly talk about calendar. Like I said, round 1 got well on to Group 3. In fact, GT1 League is all Group 3. Thank the Lord, because I don't really like Group 4 if I'm honest. But round 2 is at Gardens. I believe it's times 5 tyre wear with mediums and softs, but it's not a mandatory pit stop. The reason for that is because I think there could be dynamic weather in that race. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to practice with weather, because I do think, especially since there's no mandatory pit stop, that there's going to be rain in the race. Since you can use whatever tyre you want, that leads me to believe that there is weather, since they usually put a mandatory pit stop in those type of races with high tyre wear, with 2 tyres available. That leads to round 3, which I believe is, what is it? Deep Forest, there we go. Is it Deep Forest? I'm pretty sure it's Deep Forest round 3. I think it was mediums and hards on that race, I don't actually remember. But I'm in a WRX, and I think that car's really good for that track. Not the best, but maybe even top, it might be top 5 there, to be honest. I know Mick won a race in the last exhibition season there, however that was with setup, so can't really compare the two, but I think there's either way the Subaru should do very well there. Subaru at Garden should also do decent there because it's high tyre wear on softs. The BRZ is probably one of the best cars on softs on tyre wear, just because it doesn't really overheat the tyres since it's got so much downforce. You can just put so little steering and the car just turns. You can't really do that with any other Group 3 car. In fact, you can't, as far as I'm aware. And plus with rain, the BRZ's also decent in rain. May not have the good acceleration, but it's got really good handling, so you'll be able to carry a bit more speed out the corners, hopefully, compared to other cars. This leads to round 4, which is, I believe, Northside the 24-hour layout, so the one with the chicane as the first corner on the GP section. I think the Subaru will be okay. I don't think it'll be great, but I don't think it'll be bad. I think you can still get a result on that. But I do think the qualifying is going to be extremely important for that race, especially in the BRZ. Because if I'm not on pole, I just don't really see an opportunity to overtake people. I believe it's times 2 tyre wear on mediums and softs, and I do think you have to make a pit stop. So what I'm hoping is the Subaru can do maybe 4 laps on softs, or maybe 3 laps, while other cars I can only do 2. Basically do 1 more laps on softs so I can try and get an undercut or overcut, etc. That leads to round 5, which is at Spa. Again, I think it's got dynamic weather. I don't actually remember what the dry tyres available were. I want to say it was just mediums, but I could be wrong. However, I do think that race has weather, so it's probably the same as what the daily race we had like 2 years ago and the other exhibition Spa races we've had there with weather. Probably exactly the same as last year official, actually, I should mention. So the rain doesn't start for like the first 10 minutes, and after that it usually either doesn't rain at all or rains a lot. It's nowhere like in between. I do again think the BRZ will struggle a little bit there, however, compared to last year it'll be a lot better there this year compared to last year, just because it had some buffs in the high speed VOP compared to its competitors in the last year or so. So I do think it's decent. And that leads to, last and not least, Watkins. Again, I think the BRZ will be okay there. Unfortunately, it's only hards and mediums. If it was the softs, I think the BRZ would be extremely good there. But since it's only hards and mediums, I don't think the BRZ will have as much of a tyre advantage there as some other cars. However, saying that, I do think the BRZ will still be decent there, because the car tends to be very good on bumps, so I should be able to do the bus stop chicane very easily, even on a controller. And since there's quite a few medium to high speed corners, I think the BRZ will be decent. It will struggle quite a bit in sector 1, just because it's basically there's basically 1 corner and the rest of it's flat, so you're like flat for like 30 seconds. Not 30, it's about 20 seconds after turn 1, and the BRZ will lose time since it's got pretty slow acceleration. So as you can see, I just got a penalty. It's lap 21. I already started to feel a bit understeer, which is why I would recommend to maybe do 12 laps mediums and 10 laps softs. I could potentially tyre saved a bit better this race. I've not really put too much practice into this yet. I'm going to do some more in the upcoming days to better prepare myself for the race. But there's a bit over the laps left, and what I will say is thank you for watching. Like I said, I'll try to make a guide for each of the Manufacturer series. Same with the Nations when it eventually comes out after the Manufacturer series. But I want to also thank you for the support recently. I've got over 2.7k subs already, which is absolutely insane. Especially from live streams, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has just joined in and watched the racing, even if you're not chatting or deleting or anything. It is greatly appreciated that you're watching, because I genuinely enjoy playing this game. I love to share my enjoyment with you guys and try to help as well along the way. I wish you all the best of luck, whether you're trying to qualify or not. I wish you the best of luck either way, just with how well you do each round. I hope you enjoy it, don't take it too seriously if you're not trying to qualify. Just play for fun. If you don't find the combo enjoyable, I personally just wouldn't touch it and save your energy for the other races. I would appreciate a like and a sub as well if you find these videos helpful and enjoy my streams, etc. I'd love to see you guys again on my channel. But without further ado, I'm going to go into the Sasha game now and finish this stint. Again, I think the sim was actually decent until I'd say lap 17. I think I did start to get a bit inconsistent on the end, so I could do better, but I was quite happy with this. But without further ado, thanks for watching. Any questions, put in the comments below. I'll answer to the best of my ability, and I'll see you for Wednesday when I stream this race, guys. Wish me luck, and I'll see you later, guys. Thank you, and goodbye.